This is a verbatim transcript of federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial, as reported. It started with whispers, quiet chatter in Hollywood circles, cryptic posts on gossip blogs, and then ... silence. For a while, it seemed like just another wild rumor. But then, headlines exploded. Oprah flees country. The judge issues arrest warrant in Diddy case. The world blinked. Was this real? For decades, Oprah Winfrey had been the gold standard of American media royalty. A woman who rose from poverty to become a billionaire, philanthropist, and the voice of millions. But in 2025, her name would be uttered not in reverence, but in shock. What could possibly link Oprah Winfrey to Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul now entangled in a legal firestorm involving allegations of trafficking, abuse, and a decades-spanning network of enablers? The answer, it turns out, was hidden in plain sight. Sources close to the investigation revealed that a confidential informant, reportedly once part of Diddy's inner circle, had handed over sealed documents implicating not just Diddy, but several high-profile figures who allegedly knew more than they let on. Oprah's name was one of them, and while her legal team denied the charges, the damage was already done. On the morning of July 9, 2025, a federal judge signed a sealed warrant for Oprah's arrest, citing obstruction of justice and interference with a federal investigation. By the time the news broke, Oprah was already gone. A private jet, a diplomatic loophole, and a final destination cloaked in secrecy. The world watched in stunned silence. It wasn't just that Oprah left. It was how she left. According to aviation records, later leaked to the press, a private Gulfstream G650 departed from Van Nuys Airport in Los Angeles at precisely 4:42 a.m., bound for Zurich, Switzerland. On board, no listed passengers, no customs entry, just a high-level diplomatic clearance code stamped across the manifest, one that required executive-level approval. By the time reporters arrived at her Montecito estate, the property was already locked down. Staff were tight-lipped. Security footage from neighboring homes was mysteriously corrupted. No trail, no trace, no explanation. Within hours, her name was scrubbed from scheduled TV appearances, her Instagram account went dark, and even close friends began to go silent. And that's when the theories began to spiral. Was she running from the law, or from something deeper? Social media erupted with speculation. Some believed Oprah had known about Diddy's alleged operations all along. Others claimed she had once tried to expose it and had been silenced. Still others suggested she had been financially entangled, maybe through media deals, maybe through philanthropy partnerships with suspicious shell companies now linked to Diddy's empire. And then, a bombshell interview dropped. A former executive from Harpo Productions, who asked to remain anonymous, told The Guardian that Oprah had been increasingly paranoid over the last year, that she had hired private security, swept her home's 4 listening devices, and had once said during a private meeting, "They're going to come for me next." Who was they? And why was she afraid? Whatever the reason, the most powerful woman in television had vanished like a fugitive, and the justice system was closing in. Behind closed doors, the investigation was gaining momentum. Court insiders leaked details of a sealed grand jury probe, one that connected Oprah's OWN network to a web of offshore accounts, silent donations, and shell companies suspected to be laundering funds from the entertainment underworld. Several of these entities, investigators claimed, had financial overlaps with businesses tied to Diddy's bad boy empire. One name kept appearing: Arcturus Global Media, a now defunct Cayman Islands corporation with vague licensing agreements and multi-million-dollar transfers made between 2017 and 2022. Oprah was listed as a minority investor, but what raised eyebrows was the link between Arcturus and Exodus Talent Management, a firm currently under federal scrutiny for allegedly facilitating movement of victims under the guise of talent development. On paper, it was still circumstantial. Nothing directly tied Oprah to the trafficking charges leveled against Diddy, but the timeline was troubling. In 2019, Oprah abruptly backed out of a major documentary project exposing sexual abuse in the music industry. At the time, she cited creative differences, but now, former production staff have come forward saying she was pressured, not just by industry heads, but by unnamed political players. She said it plainly, "If I release this film, I'm dead." And not just me, one ex-producer revealed. The public wanted answers, but the silence was deafening. Her allies in Hollywood, silent. Her longtime friend Gayle King, silent. Even Tyler Perry, once known as her closest confidant, issued a vague statement about letting justice take its course. And then came the shocker. A subpoena was issued for every email, message, and financial record from Harpo Productions, dating back a decade. It was no longer just a rumor. Oprah Winfrey was under real federal investigation, and the question echoed across the world. What had she gotten herself into? As the investigation deepened, the media frenzy turned into something darker, more calculated. Major news networks, once eager to break any scandal, seemed hesitant. Some even backtracked early reports. Hashtags like #Where is Oprah mysteriously vanished from trending tabs. YouTube creators found videos demonetized or outright removed. Reddit threads disappeared overnight. It was as if an invisible hand was trying to bury the story. But independent journalists and the growing army of online sleuths refused to let it go. They traced Oprah's last known appearance to a private summit held in the Swiss Alps, an invite-only gathering attended by billionaires, former presidents, tech elites, and intelligence operatives. The event had no official schedule, no press, and no digital footprint ... except for one leaked photo. In the background of a blurry image, there she was, Oprah, standing beside a former UN diplomat known for negotiating asylum deals. Her expression, grim, her hands clasped, no smile. Suddenly, this wasn't just about legal guilt. It was about what Oprah knew, and why she left. Some theorized she was being scapegoated, that she was a casualty in a much bigger war between elite power blocks unraveling in the aftermath of Diddy's collapse. Others believed she had quietly assisted federal agents years ago, and was now a target. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team fought back, leaking emails that hinted at closed-door meetings between Oprah, label execs, and financial consultants just months before multiple lawsuits were filed. The implication? That Oprah had tried to move her assets out, fast, before the walls came crashing down. And still, she said nothing. No public statement, no interview, no denial. It was the silence that terrified people the most. Because Oprah had always had the last word, the public reaction was swift and polarizing. To some, Oprah was a symbol of betrayal. The woman who had once stood for truth, healing, and empowerment now seemed entangled in the darkest corners of the very industry she had once exposed. Headlines across Europe painted her as the runaway queen of daytime, while tabloids in the US speculated about a secret bunker in South Africa, private deals with Swiss authorities, and even asylum applications. But to others, she was a woman caught in a trap, a sacrificial lamb in a crumbling empire where billionaires, celebrities, and political insiders were starting to fall, one by one. Online, the debate ignited a cultural wildfire. Was Oprah guilty? Or was she protecting herself from something darker? Whistleblowers added more fuel to the fire. One former intern at a Diddy-affiliated label claimed that Oprah had once visited a creative retreat in the Caribbean, a location now under FBI scrutiny as a suspected front for coercive recruitment. While the visit could have been innocent, the timing and secrecy made it hard to dismiss. Soon, congressional voices joined the fray. Senator Miriam Hale called for a full inquiry into media collusion, stating, "No individual, no matter how beloved or powerful, should be immune to investigation if evidence exists." And just like that, Oprah's legacy was in freefall. Brands quietly paused partnerships, A planned $100 million museum exhibit honoring her achievements was postponed. Book deals and motivational speaking engagements were cancelled or put under review. The world was no longer looking at Oprah through the lens of inspiration. They were looking through the lens of suspicion, and with every passing day, her silence spoke louder. As the case against Diddy intensified, with new charges, victims speaking out, and damning evidence stacking up, the narrative around Oprah only grew more complicated. She hadn't been officially charged with trafficking, nor named a co-conspirator, but she was now listed as a person of interest in multiple federal subpoenas. And according to insiders, there was growing pressure for her to return and testify. Still, no word. Instead, her lawyers issued a carefully worded statement. Ms. Winfrey has always upheld the highest standards of ethics and legality in her business and philanthropic endeavors. Any implication otherwise is a gross mischaracterization, but that wasn't enough to silence the storm. In a world where public opinion moves faster than due process, reputations don't need convictions, just questions. And Oprah had too many questions swirling around her to ignore. Why did she flee? What did she know? What deals had been made in the shadows? Even her most loyal fans were left torn. Some clung to hope that she was innocent, that she would one day explain everything in a tell-all documentary or sit-down confessional. Others believed the Oprah they trusted had never truly existed, only a brand, carefully managed for decades. And as for her whereabouts, reports suggest she now resides in a private estate nestled in the Swiss mountains, protected by layers of legal barriers, diplomatic immunity claims, and perhaps powerful allies with more to lose than her. The woman who once told the world to live their truth was now hiding from hers. And as America watched the unraveling of one of its most iconic figures, one question remained. Was this the fall of a queen, or the final move in a game we were never meant to see?